Bostonians who rely on public transit have recently become quite familiar with the phrase slow zone. It's a term for areas of the track that have been placed under a speed restriction due to defects in need of repair. But this is not your typical train delay, nor is it a recent issue. Last year, the Federal Transit Administration conducted an inspection which revealed systemic safety issues with the MBTA and seemingly no timely plan to fix them. Fast forward to March of this year, and not much has changed. A red line inspection by the DPU brought back some familiar language when defects were found that the MBTA couldn't account for. In response, the MBTA did something unprecedented.
System-wide slowdown. All tracks 25 miles per hour.
While this system-wide slowdown was lifted the next day, at the time of publication, around a fifth of the total tracks still have speed restrictions. So, we wanted to know, just how slow are these slow zones? And what's being done to fix them? The system-wide speed restriction in March lowered the top speed of the T from its usual maximum of 40 miles per hour to just 25 miles per hour. But many of the slow zones still in place have speed restrictions of less than 25 miles per hour. Currently, the slowest slow zones are clocking in at just 3 miles per hour. To get a sense of just how slow this is, here's how the slowest trains stack up against bikes on flat ground and the default speed limit in Boston. To put it another way, the male winner of the 2023 Boston Marathon could run the race roughly 4 times over in the time it would take the slowest train to complete the 26.2 miles once. At this pace, though, the slowest train wouldn't even qualify for the race. So, how are the slow zones affecting commutes? For starters, during the first week of May, a round trip on the Red Line averaged around 70 minutes slower than it would be if the trains were traveling at full speed, up from around 40 minutes slower before the system-wide slowdown. Now, let's zoom into one commute. A round trip from the Braintree stop to the JFK UMass stop on the Red Line averaged approximately 13.5 minutes longer during the first week of May than before the system-wide slowdown. To put this into perspective, let's stretch this week to a month. If you took this round-trip route every day for 30 days, you would have lost roughly 405 minutes, or 6 hours and 45 minutes of your time. With that lost time, you could go to almost 2.5 Red Sox games, take the Freedom Trail tour roughly 4.5 times, or ride the East Boston Ferry roughly 40.5 times. But with unreliable transit, you could potentially lose much more than time. At the Globe, we've reported on how a broken transportation system creates a domino effect of other problems that hurt low-income residents the most. Delayed or slow trains can mean being late to work, missing out on wages or losing jobs, and potentially losing housing. It can mean businesses not choosing to invest in areas where transit is unreliable because of the reduced promise of foot traffic. So, is there a permanent fix in sight? Unlikely. While the concept of creating slow zones to deal with track defects isn't new or unique to the T, these long-standing slow zones are unusual. Ideally, a defect is located and resolved before the problem worsens enough to even warrant a slow zone being instated. But that's not what's happening with the T. According to experts, this over-reliance on slow zones indicates that the MBTA is not keeping up with repairs. In fact, the T has allowed its track problems to fester, creating a backlog of defects in need of repair. So, what's the MBTA doing to resolve the slow zones? Unfortunately, the answers are unclear. While the MBTA released a plan addressing a few slow zones on the Blue Line, at the time of publication, there is no comprehensive work plan available to the public about how and when each slow zone will be eliminated. But the MBTA's new general manager said resolving these speed restrictions is, quote, paramount for him, telling the Globe, quote, "As I travel on the T, I have spoken with riders who are frustrated, but they tell me they need us and they want us to succeed. They are hopeful and we will demonstrate that we have a strategy that will deliver, and the proof will be in the results," end quote. The good news is that the number of slow zones appears to be declining, and in late April, the MBTA completed a key step toward trains returning to normal speed. by finishing a system-wide safety inspection of the tracks. According to MBTA officials, this means the MBTA now has a clearer picture of the problems on the T. So, what can you do as a commuter? Unfortunately, not much. The MBTA recommends referencing its speed restriction dashboard and signing up for text alerts to stay up to date on the latest information concerning slow zones and other delays. But for now, your best bet is to plan for a longer commute.